Hello and welcome back to 9 Years in China with old teacher here. I know it's been a while. I basically stopped making some videos, and it's not that I ran out of things to talk about. It's just that I was trying to do my best sometimes to not be too critical of things that go on in China. And so in order to do that, sometimes I had to quit. China is a blessing, people, believe me, but there are some things that will irritate you as a Westerner, or somebody that doesn't live in a communist country. And recently I've started breaking ground on my second book about being in China, and I had lots of memories coming back to me. Now, in my first book, I wrote about my very first year when I was in Huainan Anhui province. Then, because they wanted to get a husband-wife team in Huainan, which did not work out, by the way, I went to another school about an hour away, not an hour and a half, but I went to a city called Huainan, and it's on the Huaihe River, so it's Huainan, you'll see the spelling. And Huainan, I wanted to go there because I would be near the girlfriend that I had at the time. I would be closer to her by about an hour. Huainan kind of sits in the north central part of Anhui province. It's about an hour or so from Hefei, the capital, and it's not, maybe almost an hour from Bengbu, another city. So it's kind of nestled in there. It's got some mountains that surround it on one side, and it's the basic cities, like all other cities. It's pretty nice. It's filled with lots of people that want to be engaged with you and have conversations and ask questions. But also, Huainan, they were, even though not a big city, they were fairly rich because it was a coal city. See, coal is a big deal in China, and if you are a coal-producing city, it seems like all the cities I've been in that had coal had a little money. So Huainan, their downtown area that they called Shangmao had really nice stores, and the whole city center in all directions had underground shopping. And that was the first city that I had seen that had this underground shopping. Of course, later I would find like Nanjing and Zhenjiang and other places. Well, not Zhenjiang. My mind is leaving me. But like Nanjing, especially, we had underground shopping, and well, in Zhenjiang we did too. Not as expansive as Huainan. But anyhow, I thought of some little stories that I might tell while I just started this book, and Huainan was the first city that I had to talk about. So going there, I had to deal with a new city. I had my girlfriend with me, which helped immensely. And I had to go around. We had to go shopping and go to the bank and get a new phone and all this. But while this was going on, there are stories to be told. Now, one of them is in this channel about how I eventually found butter. I could go to the grocery stores. I could usually find milk, usually find some cheese, but butter seemed like it was impossible. And we found butter in a bakery, and I could buy butter in these big, like, kilo blocks. And so that was quite a little story itself. But like I said, I had a video about that. It's on this channel. The first few days that we were in Huainan, we had to just we had these things to do days. You know, we had to get things done just so we could have free time. And one of the first things that happened to me, this is a pretty cute little story here that very few people have heard unless you're my friend. We eventually, several days in, we were ready just to start exploring, and I love to explore. So we went to the Underground Mall, right in the city center. All you got to do is just walk down some stairs or a little escalator, and boom, you're there. And I said, well, we got down there and we decided we're going to head, east, because there's like a central hub, and you got stores going this way as far as the eye can see, and stores going, all over. And so we just said we'd start and we'd check out, the restaurants and all these things also. God forgive me, I've got a kind of a froggy throat today, so you'll see me drink a couple times. But one of the first things we did, we got down there and I said, okay, let me run to the bathroom real quick. Nature was calling, and I told Mary, just wait right here and I'll be right back out. I go and walk into this bathroom, and it's a big, expansive, bathroom with a tile floor. It looked like it had just been mopped. It was shining. It had rows of stalls on each side, which in China can be a little rare. Privacy is not guaranteed. And so anyhow, I go open the door to this stall, and when I opened the door, it sagged a little, but that didn't alarm me. And I looked down, and the bottom hinge was coming undone. It was loose, so they needed to do a little work in the bathroom. But again, nothing really bothered me yet. So go in the stall, do my thing, and when I turned around to walk out, I opened the door, and just gravity and momentum just let the door just swing wide open. Well, the first thing that happened, the door swung wide open. Remember, the hinge, it was undone, or had maybe like one screw kind of holding things on. The door opens, and boom, it hits the stall next to me. That was loud enough, but what happened next was, oh my Lady Gaga. The door hit, came back forward, then all of a sudden, and it seemed like it took 5 minutes for it to happen, because you're going, oh, the door came off the hinge and was falling to the floor. Remember, this is a bathroom, and the tile floors and the low ceiling, echo, 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 echo. The door hits the floor. Boom! And it did. It sounded like a bomb went off in there. And I'm going, first of all, I'm in this disbelief. And while all this was happening, it seemed like almost at exactly the same time, I knew people outside had to hear it. You could not help but hear the noise. A couple stalls down, a door flies open, and this little old Chinese guy is running out of the stall, and his eyes are this big around, and he's trying to pull his pants up. I guess the noise just scared him to death. So here it is. Door falls, kaboom, door swings open, Chinese man runs out, just like in a movie, and he's pulling his pants up, and he's running toward the bathroom exit. And I'm just going, unbelievable. So I walk out, and at that time my Chinese was not very good. I couldn't explain myself out of anything. So I ran out, and people ran into the bathroom, these custodians, and I tell Mary what had happened. And of course she thought it was funny. But they didn't know. They just see a foreigner, and maybe they just were expecting the worst. So anyhow, at first they were trying to tell me that I was going to have to pay for the door. I said, no, it's not going to happen. And we all went in there and we pointed at the door, and I showed them the hinge on the door, and they understood. They didn't want to understand. I think that deep down they would like to make me pay for everything. But I told them I wasn't going to do it. No. And so anyhow, we got out of that. And you got to visualize this happening. Okay, you are a stranger in a strange land, and you caused the biggest noise they've probably heard in a long time. That's something else. And Huainan, well, I got a couple of these stories here. Huainan was a very corrupt city also, and there was a lot of crime in Huainan. People, like on a bus, you'd have these bad people would cut a purse open and get the contents out of somebody's purse, because you were standing on the bus. A lot of times you're holding a handrail, or you're holding something, and you're preoccupied, so it's easy to steal from people. And I was always careful about. I always hid my billfold where people couldn't find it and things like that. One day I was on a bus, and actually I was thinking about this same thing, but I looked up in front of me, and I saw these ladies, these two old ladies, or older ladies, whatever, and they kept pointing at me, and they had the cat face going on, and they were talking some crap about me, and but I knew just enough Chinese that got me out of this situation, and I put it back on them. And remember, and so when the bus stopped, and I had to walk out past them, remember they're looking and doing all this, got that, that, well, I call it the Chinese cat face. And as I got right up in front of them, I said, "What ting dong ni shou shima?" And they went, because what I did, I told them I understood what they were saying. And their eyes got that big. Somebody that was sitting next to them started cackling, laughing. They thought that was the funniest thing they ever heard. Is I looked right at them and I told them I understood, and I walked off the bus. See, I can remember certain things, and that was which I didn't understand anything they said, but they did not know it. All right. Huainan, talking about crime, I had to go through a couple of bicycles. I was there 1 year and I had to go through several bicycles. And a new bicycle with a big basket, in 2011, I'd spend 600 or 700 yen, so a little over $100, and I could get a nice bicycle to go back and forth to class or go to the little markets near the school. So the first day we went out, we went to the area where we had to buy a bicycle. All right, so we went to a normal bike store, and I bought this bike, and Mary wanted to ride it home. And it's a far drive, but I took the bus home and Mary rode my bicycle, so it saved trying to get a bicycle on a bus, which later I found out it didn't matter. People did it all the time. And it seemed like it was only weeks later. School, I don't even know if school had started good yet. And I walked down one day, and my bike is gone. And I had a big chain around my bicycle. So I told Mary, I said, we got to go bike shopping again. So this time we went back to that part of town, and I discovered a couple other bike shops. I said, well, let's go into this one over here and take a look. And I walk in, and the first thing, when China, the mountain bikes are really popular, that style. People, the teacher's bicycle or the old man's bicycles were not as popular. But I had Mary tell them what we were looking for, and it became real obvious within a few minutes that with the people looking around and a lot of these, and they were bringing out bicycles and showing people, it was real obvious that they were trying to sell stolen bicycles. I could see it really quick. Just body language, and the bicycles weren't new, and I had more than a strong feeling that they were selling some stolen bicycles, just trying to make a buck. But it's not real. It's not right. So, and they brought some bikes out to show us, in different quality bikes, and they kept trying to sell me a mountain bike, and I told them no, I didn't want the mountain bike. And so eventually, after I saw what was going on, I whispered in Mary's ear, I said, we need to go to another bike shop. And so I ended up buying another bike. And when I got home, I put this yellow tape all over it. I wanted people to know, I wanted the guards at the gate to know that it was my bicycle. This yellow and black bicycle was mine. And eventually I had to get another bike, and I did the same thing, but it was the one that took me on to the next city. But Huainan had a lot of little tiny adventures. I have a ghost story that you can find on this channel about Huainan. And Huainan was also known as a tofu city. And you get off like at the supermarket. They had one called Carrefour Jolly Food, which is a big, I think it's French owned. And they always had tofu. The smell was awful when they cooked tofu. And one little story to close this out. One day I'm going to the store, and I get out right in front of the Jolly Food, Carrefour. I like that store better, and it was easier because the bus stop was right there at it, where another big market down the street, the buses didn't stop for some reason directly in front of it, so you had to carry your bags. I get off the bus, and I get out on the sidewalk, and I was just kind of waiting for some people to pass by me, and all of a sudden I felt this tug on my pants leg. Boom, 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 boom. I looked down, and it's the shortest human being I had ever seen. He would give the definition of dwarf a challenge. I had never, ever seen a human so short. And like I said, he's pulling on my pants, and what it is, he's begging for money. And I didn't know what to do. I was still in shock from seeing this guy. And literally, he was maybe this much taller than my knee. This guy was short, people, and he was not an amputee or anything like that. He was a real live, dwarf. But the people, quickly the people around me started shooing the guy away, and they were apologizing to me that I had to see this or I had to encounter this man or whatever. The people they were very embarrassed for me, and it goes to show you people in China do care. I know sometimes they don't like to get involved in other people's matters, but in something like this where it was you had to save face, it was a big deal. I'm trying to close this out. So anyhow, Huainan had a lot of things going for it. Look for my videos. I got a video about going to a park there, Bagoshan, which is literally called the 8 People Park, and it had to deal with the history of tofu and lots of nice places. And they had a park there called Longhu, and I would like to do a video about that. But in a nutshell, they had a big city park lake, and I'll say this and I'll get out of here. Okay? I know I'm talking too much, but these memories have been coming back since I started this book. The first time I ever went to Longhu was the first time I ever saw a fight in China. These two men there was no kung fu, no karate, nothing. They were just slapping each other. But it was serious, and the policemen ran in and broke them up, and they did not get in trouble, which I thought was strange, because usually that's just an excuse in China to take you off. But they sent the people on their way. And while we were there, we wanted to walk out to the water and we wanted to throw some bread to the fish, because this lake was technically a no fishing lake. So everybody went there with bread and whatever they had, and they would throw out to the fish and feed the fish. And there's all kinds of goldfish and carp and minnows and little tiny catfish. But we were standing out on this dock while we were there, and this was not long after we watched the fight. Okay, we're walking around exploring, and I saw this guy and a little boy sitting on this little, I don't know what you call it, a little small wharf or a walkway. It's wooden, part of it, and then it went to concrete. It was a really odd thing. Anyhow, I noticed the dude was fishing, and you could see the little signs that said no fishing, right? So this guy was fishing either because he liked it or they were hungry. You know, if you're fishing for hunger, that's a whole different animal. But I'm watching him fish, and sure enough, he catches a pretty darn big, it's a goldfish. There's nothing all the way around it. He caught a big goldfish, and he was going to tie it to a piece of string. And when he started to tie this goldfish off, he was spotted. And these policemen ran out, and we're only just feet away from this guy, and they grab this guy, and they make him turn his fish loose, and he's fussing, and he's probably cussing in Chinese, and I'm glad I don't understand the language. But he's putting on quite a show, and everybody's watching. And the police grab his arm, and the little boy's holding on to his father, and they are taking him off. And I don't know what happened after that, but I got to see lots of stuff while I was there, okay? So anyhow, there's a few stories from Huainan. I hope you enjoyed them, and maybe I'll have some more coming soon. As I start this book, memories will come flooding back to me. So anyhow, you have a great day, okay? And we'll talk to you next time. So bye-bye.